If you hear some sounds in the background, that's because I'm in an environment that I'm sharing with some other people. These last few weeks have been absolutely interesting. I guess that's the easiest word for me to use in order to understand what the heck just happened? Where did I go? What dimension am I in? And what planet am I standing on? All those kinds of things, because it was just unbelievable. But I wasn't the only one who went through something like that. And I can imagine how impactful it was, not only for them, but for their pets and for their families who live far away and are concerned about them. After all, they are their family. So, some of this might sound a little strange to you, and you might have to listen to the podcast more than one time, and I understand that. So, I named it, as I usually do, the evening drive home podcast series 1031. The end in the beginning. All right, but this is part one. We speak truth with our words. However, what do we hear? Now, this is all predicated upon the fact that this has been one heck of an experience for me. And I was wondering, all the people that were impacted, can anybody come forward and say how they felt, what they experienced? Did they feel connected, disconnected? Did they feel people were listening to them, not listening to them? Did they cry out for mercy, I guess, or cry out for help? We don't really know. Even the ones who really were experiencing some strange things, they're probably hesitant about even recording or stating anything that happened to them. So let me go on. We can only hope and desire to believe that what we are experiencing is the truth for this segment of our lives. We can't see in a crystal ball what the future really holds for us all. All we can do is believe, dream, manifest what is our truth, what is our reality, what is our definition of comprehending and rising above mere baby steps to our daily reality. Survival of the fittest. When you are sitting in a scenario where you are not really considered part of the whole, now understand something. Each one of our categories has rules and regulations. It all depends on just what you are on in terms of your level of development. If you're in the 1%, let's say for an example, the 1% has one particular style of training that they've gone through that basically, I would think, most of the population doesn't even understand. And for those few that understand, probably aren't disciplined enough to hold the course. Now, am I saying that that's good, better, and different? I'm just saying that that's just how it is. So if you want to know more about their rulings, their upbringing, the way they were trained from infancy on the way up, so that they can understand how to manifest their realities and their greatness and understand something. This is not something that I knew back when. This is something that I encountered and came across ever since whatever this is that I've experienced. And I want you to know this was a first-hand experience for me. To be in a storm, a natural disaster, weather disaster, and it's not considered a federal emergency. I'm not by myself. I'm not by myself. But I'm saying that was phenomenal. Tear off the roof of a building, exposing the interior, raindrop coming inside of these apartment complex. And you're standing there and you say, well, where did this storm come from? And you don't know. Well, it depends on who you're researching as to find out whether or not it was something that was very typical and known for this particular area, or if it was something that popped up from one part of town and just jumped over everybody else and came to where you were. I don't know. That's the general consensus. That's what the general belief is. And that's what happened. And so naturally, it was a work of God. I wonder. So how did you fare? Did people help you? Did anybody come to you and say, "Hey, listen, I know that you're distressed, distraught. Let me help you over here. Let me give you some information. Let me provide you with some food. Let me provide you with resources. Resources that are applicable, something that you can use right now, not something that you have to vet, something that you can use right in this moment." But does that really happen? Or does it happen in certain areas? I'm a little confused on that. My reply is the human or inhumane actions we as human beings have towards one another, put all that aside when people are basically seeking shelter, food for themselves, children, pets, babies, consoling, consoling words to assist you with awakening the next morning, ready to start another day with enthusiasm to create the reality that you truly desire and not fall underneath the pressure of what you have experienced. You still gotta get yourself up. Now, how do you do that? I mean, how do you really, really do that when the impact of what you had, or let's do it like this, the impact of the storm destroyed everything that you had? Be it just two, three pictures of your grandmother or your best friend. You have nothing at this time. You were wiped out. So you look and you say, God, what happened here? Why did this happen to me? Everybody sings that song. Why did this happen to me? You don't know. Some theories I've heard so far is um, it was a test. It was a test from the universe that said, let's see who you are. Let's see if you can stand up. Let's see if you can come out of that category that you're presently in and step into, not necessarily because of, but into the thinking, the thoughts, the process that the 1% went through in order to get to a point where they're not really impacted by things in the fashion that you or me or somebody else is. I'm not picking on them. I'm just saying that they have a different standard. I think I personally think that we should adopt something similar. Only because if we have a standard, a particular set of a process, and since we are dealing with such a drastic type of stretching with the weather patterns, it almost makes you want to ask, really? How did that happen? Especially if you can compare it to the past. Let's look at Jamaica and Hurricane Melissa for a minute. Really? The Caribbeans, I don't believe the Caribbean islands was really getting hit like that maybe 50 years ago, 60 years ago, 70 years ago. I don't think they were getting hit, bombarded, knocked out of the water, so to speak, in the fashion that they are now. Is that really what? What is that cycle called? My thing is this: whatever it is, I think that we all need to just find out exactly where our strengths are and start developing that strength, that ability to understand who we are and what we're here to do and how to do it. Start thinking. When you stand there and you're on a line for maybe about 3, 4 hours standing, and you enter into this particular office and you know that they're supposed to be providing you with emergency finance, emergency shelter, emergency food, the whole package. And they say to you, oh, here's a couple of resources that we copied from one group of papers and put in a folder to give to you because we didn't want to vet that whole list. And you can do that instead of we do that. And then that way you can become totally frustrated at the process And maybe you just give up. Don't give up. Don't give up. If you give up on yourself, nobody else is going to help you. Nobody else is going to give you any kind of inspiration. Don't give up. But don't just sit there either. You got to figure this bad boy out. And you have to really, really, really figure it out, because this is high science for sure. But I think that you're capable of it. You can deal with high science. I know you can. We all can, because that's the time we're in. Start watching videos that elevate your mind. At least one or two in between everything else that you're streaming. So in that way, you'll have something in your pockets so you can move forward with that. You can be able to help your family. And the other piece that I'd like to throw in there is nobody should take somebody's dream and just stamp on it, just stomp it into the ground. Nobody should do that. They shouldn't have the right to do that. Nobody should take something that is of value to one person and decide that, oh, I like that, let me get it, I'm going to take it for me. Nobody should have that ability or that right to take something that belongs to somebody else and claim it as their own. I don't care what the disaster is, you don't do that. So I say to all of us, let's change some of the things that we were thinking in the past. Let's become a little more humane. Let's think that we are here to create a society that is full of cooperation, love, and light. I'm going to tell you something. One of the things I noticed about the World Trade Center when it was impacted, when I was on the Jersey side of the water, and I was walking through the communities, and I had noticed how many candles were on the stairs. And those of you who remember what happened with the World Trade Center and was on the Jersey side, you remember, no matter what community, what block you went down, there was candles. And they had these candles lit because they wanted their loved ones to find their way to wherever they were destined, because some of them were impacted and died on the spot. All right? Some of them were not considered dead, but they were emotionally distraught. So they have these candles there. But the piece that really amazed me, no matter what the nationality you were, no matter what the color of your skin was, when you saw somebody, they said, how you doing? You okay? All right, we can get through this. We got this. We can pull this together. It was on a level that I had never heard of. And I was a full-grown adult when I saw this and experienced this. But it was such a beautiful phenomenon. No violence. Everybody was in mourning and in chaos and trying to understand what just happened. What just happened? Well, my question to you is, what just happened? I'm going to end it right there. Remember to create the reality that you truly do desire, and not one that you don't. If you can follow what I'm saying this evening, that's great. I'm not for everybody. But what I will say to you is this. If you have any children, critical thinking is important. Teach them how to think. Teach them how to speak. You have yourself a wonderful evening.